Leicester City are out of the relegation zone for the first time this year with a hard-fought victory against a struggling Spurs side. By no means was it pretty, but it stops the bleeding, at least in the short term. Spurs 1, Leicester 2. Let's break it down. I think I want to start by looking at the negatives before I look at the positives, and the first half by and large was a big negative for me, bar a couple performers. I'm going to start by highlighting Wout Faes as a real disappointment. He looked really uncomfortable on the ball, and Richarlison had his number, particularly in that first half. I've got a moment in my head where Richarlison sort of just nudged him and he fell to the floor, which on any given day a referee might not give that as a foul. In this case, luckily Stolarczyk came out to catch the ball, but it looked like the referee was going to give it as a foul. And also for Richarlison's goal, although someone should have gone to press the cross before it came in, Richarlison so easily peeled off of him. And I think if they had another striker in there, maybe a Solanke, who unfortunately was injured, but we're very fortunate that Richarlison's coming off the back of a long injury. If it was Solanke up there, I think they could have an absolute field day. I also want to highlight on the right-hand side of that defence, James Justin. He's coming for an awful lot of heat this season, well, not just this season, the season's gone by as well. One thing I've noticed, particularly this week more so than any other, is teams' abilities to just peel off him. He seems to just tunnel vision towards the ball. He'll run towards it and let a man just float off him. Now, this could also be down to lack of communication between him and the midfielder. Maybe they need to follow, because I noticed when Oliver Skip came on, that wasn't so noticeable. But you cannot be letting that happen, particularly when you have someone like Son, or it was Son who was just peeling off of him. Really awful defensive performance from him, just solidifying to me the fact that he's more of a wing back than a fullback. The second player I want to highlight for having a miserable afternoon was Harry Winks in the middle of the park. I was watching a YouTube video from a Leicester fan account where they were saying maybe he thought he was still playing for Spurs. He tries to do things too quickly for me, and I believe when we get Ndidi back in, we'll be in a much, much better position. But he tries to pop the ball around the corner far too often, and it ends up, by and large, going to absolutely nobody. This is supposed to be one of our most experienced players on the pitch, and all he really needs to do at some points in the game is just put his foot on the ball and wait for some movement to happen. Championship player. Really, really poor performance from Winks, I thought. There wasn't many bright sparks in that first half, but I thought Bilal Al-Khanous particularly ran his socks off. He tries an awful lot, and not everything comes off, but he's young, very inexperienced, and I think we have a really, really good player on our hands there. Stolarczyk, similarly for me, he made a really key save to the left-hand side. Son just tipped it around the corner. I think he also tipped one onto the bar as well. I believe that was in the first half. A coming-of-age performance from Stolarczyk, and hopefully this can continue for him. I was really deflated at half-time, not only because of the performance the players put in that first half, but historically we have really underperformed in the second half. But Ruud van Nistelrooy, I'm not sure what he said to those players at half-time, but he really struck a chord with them. They turned it on, they came out fierce, they came out with a fight. It was fantastic to see, particularly the opening 10 minutes of the second half. The opening goal epitomises Soumaré for me. He picks up the ball and makes the most awful pass to Christensen about 2 feet away from him, which I believe Porro just comes and nicks it away. He then picks up the loose ball, just charges through the team and slides in Bobby De Cordova-Reid. Now, it's his experience in the Premier League that we really needed in this game, because he took a couple touches and just slotted it into a really dangerous area. Jamie Vardy's dangerous area where you bundled it in. And, not every goal has to be pretty, and thank God that one. We just needed the goal. I think it doesn't happen if Mavridi's on the pitch, though. He hasn't been able to make the step up from the Championship to the Premier League for me so far. And in that position, he would have tried to cut in and shoot himself rather than playing the ball. And I'd love to use the excuse that, he's right-footed, but so is Bobby De Cordova-Reid. Just sometimes you need to use your weak foot and put it in a dangerous area. Really smart play from Bobby De Cordova-Reid. Soumaré, again, brilliant with the second goal. He's just so powerful, that man. He intercepted the ball brilliantly, knocks it onto Bobby De Cordova-Reid, and continues his run, which creates so much space for both him and Bilal Al-Khanous. Bobby De Cordova-Reid just knocks it onto Bilal, who curls it in from just outside the box. It was really fantastic play. Once again, he is going to be a player for the future. only 20 years old, and yeah, a serious player. This is where the game went rough for us, and to an extent I'm glad it did, because these players needed to learn that when you dig in and you fight like hell, you will get some results. And too many times we've conceded a goal and just rolled over. I want to say my first thank you goes up to Stolarczyk. I mentioned earlier, I think he had a brilliant game. He must probably wasted about 10 minutes with those goal kicks. Fantastic. And my second thank you, for all he did absolutely nothing else in the game for us, Andre Ayew, who went down and held his head at any possible moment that he could. He jumped up for every single header and just fell to the floor holding his head, similarly wasting minutes at a time. Fantastic shithousery. Really love it. Something that Ruud van Nistelrooy has really been questioned for is his substitutions, and I'm going to query one again, and you guys give me your thoughts. At 2-1 up, I just do not think that Buonanotte is the sort of player to bring on. He's a fantastic player. We learned that from the start of the season. I think you start him. I don't think you bring him on when you're looking to shore up your team. Too many times he gave the ball away. Too many times he tried to do too much. I think the commentator used the word naive, which is just sums it up perfectly. Some fans had an issue with them bringing Conor Cody in. I understand they're sort of like once bitten, twice shy when he gave the penalty away earlier this season, but we limited Spurs to just crosses in the box. And when you can have three defenders, Wout-Faes, Cody, Vestergaard, where all they really can do is just head the ball away and kick it as far as they can, I don't have so much of an issue with that. But Buonanotte, yeah, really disappointed, because I think there's a really good player there, and just didn't quite show it for me. I can't finish this video without talking a little bit about Spurs and just how lucky we are to be playing them at this point in time. They're really struggling, lots and lots of injuries to really key players, and I feel bad for them. They're fighting on all fronts still as well. They played a European game just 3 days ago where Ange Postecoglou came off and said, "My boys are knackered," and that was the moment where I went, "Oh, we might have a chance here of getting some points away from home." By and large, I do feel bad for them, and yeah, they just have about 45 minutes in them, and after that they just run out of steam. And we are lucky, because we were really wasteful for large parts of that game. We gave the ball away far too often, and we've got Everton on the weekend, and we can't turn up and play the same way and expect to get a result. It just won't happen, unfortunately. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video anyway. If you did, drop it a like, give us a sub, and I'll see you again soon.